What's up to my family out there? This is your boy E. Will. I am so glad to be in front of you today because the word of God is coming. That's right. You got to drop a fire emoji. Give us a heart, a share, a like. Spread the word right now because the word of God is coming. Stay locked in. Get your popcorn, get your fruit snacks, get your vegan snacks. Do whatever you need to do and stay tuned in again because the word of God is coming. I'll see you on the other side.
What's up, Light of the World family? Hey, it's Tuesday, so you know what that means. It's time for Bible study. Hey, I'm so honored to be in front of you tonight. I'm excited about it. If you're excited, if you've been blessed about what we've been talking about these past couple of Tuesdays, drop them fire emojis in the comment section. It's big energy time, baby. I'm excited. We just fresh off a Sunday service. Coming into use for our first Sunday, 2515, what I call our CUF campus. For those not from Cincinnati or the area, that's Clifton, University, Fairview, all that encompassing region. So it's our CUF campus for now while we're rocking it out. We turned up on Clifton Avenue one good time. We did it one time for the one time. So thank you to everybody who came to kick it with us this Sunday. Now you got to come back again next Sunday, and the Sunday after that, and the Sunday after that, as we continue to make some major noise in the city, take our city for Jesus. Hey, so drop them fire emojis in the comments. It's Bible study time. If you have not done so yet, take a moment also, hit the like button, hit the share button. That becomes a means of evangelism in 2022 for us. You hit that share button, share with somebody that needs to hear this, that needs to be connected to this. I speak to the fact that anytime God brings somebody to your mind, it's not by accident. That means it's an opportunity for you to move. Yeah, don't take that for granted. To say, you know what, God brought you up. Make sure I called you today. Make sure I text you. So slide this into their DMs. Slide Bible study into their DMs. If you haven't done so, tag somebody to join you to be a part of Bible study. They said they want to be a part of it, get deeper in some things. Hey, they need to know what's popping right now. I've already stalled for about 2 minutes for you to be able to do all these very same things. So I'm grateful to God for you. I believe God has great things in store for you. Let's get ready to jump into this. I want to welcome everybody back to something that I've been doing the past couple of Tuesdays called For the Hearing Impaired. I said on Tuesdays I wanted to kind of touch on this aspect and this notion of prayer because those who've been rocking with us since the onset of the year, prayer is one of our focus areas. Our bodybuilding theme deals with equipping the body, preparing us for what God has in store. Little did I know about any of this stuff that's happening right now, but we have to be prepared for it. Prayer is one of those essential areas that helps us in that manner. And so not only prayer for prayer's sake. So this is not now I lay me down to sleep talk. This is on Tuesdays we get a chance to go deeper. So when I'm talking prayer now, this is the notion of hearing God's voice above every other voice in your life, being able to discern when it's God's voice, when it's the enemy's voice, or when it's your voice. Because I got about 3 or 4 of you that know what it means to talk to yourself and you answer. You respond in kind to some of the things that you question to yourself. And so I want to make sure you're able to hear God's voice in your life and being able to pick up on that and understanding how God speaks. So we've been talking about when God speaks, this is the manner in which he normally does it. Biblically, here's how God speaks. However, I always put a pin in that just to simply tell you God can do whatever he wants to do, however he wants to do it. So if God wants to use your dog today, God can do it. And so we speak to how has God spoken to people throughout the ages so that you're aware of there being more than just one. More than just one means by which God speaks. So we dealt with that. And so then we kind of switched the game up a little bit over these past couple of weeks. And here's a great question because I need to know whether I have any honest people as it relates to prayer? Do I have any honest people that can say, I haven't been praying like I should and or like I used to? Because on one end, there's some people that know that they're supposed to be praying better and they just haven't. Other people, they've been on, they know what it means to be on fire. Ooh, but that fire kind of dimmed out a little bit. It's so just kind of taking an honest assessment and audit of your life. But Pastor Mike, I'm gonna be real. I haven't really been praying like I should be praying and or like I used to pray. Because I've been in both shoes. Let's be real. We want to talk transparency, and it was the notion where prayer for me was more duty than devotion. What do you mean, Pastor? Because when it's all said and done, my job is to pray. It's part of my job description. It's not even the fine print. It's in the opening part of the letter of this is what I'm called to do. My job is to pray. And so I know that there's times where it became more duty than devotion. And there were times when I was supposed to be talking to Jesus and my mind starts wandering. Okay, don't y'all leave me out here on this boat by myself. Where are my mind wanderers at? Where I'm supposed to be praying and talking to God. And then I'm like, you know what? I gotta be somewhere at 11. Oh man, you know what? I forgot to send that email back. Man, I got to respond back to that text. And so mine starts going off and dealing with things. And so you try to refocus and bring yourself back. And here's what's the trip. There were several years ago, I told my church this story. It's embarrassing, but it's traumatic at the same time for me. And I remember vividly what happened because it was right after I turned 40. So right after I turned 40, it was winter. I'm on my way to my favorite store, Dollar Tree. I'm in the parking lot. And Dollar Tree's about to open up. I don't know why I'm there opening time. Don't judge me. So I'm at Dollar Tree. They're getting ready to open. It's right at opening time. It's winter. And it was snowing and it was more ice than snow out at the time. And so this is fresh, I believe, January time frame. Some ice, had accumulated on the ground. So I'm getting out the car. I don't see anything. I'm minding my own business. As I walk to the door, I slip and fall. And when I mean I fell good. And what happened was I had my hands in my pocket because once again it's cold outside. I got my hands in my pocket. I'm just strolling, and so when I fell, I didn't have a quick enough reaction to brace myself. So I fall on my side. I literally, I believe I bruised my ribs when doing so. I told you I fell hard. Y'all stop laughing in the comments. So I bruised my ribs, and in the middle of that. Watch this. The fall caused me to move from my regular routine. Here's what I came to bring you. So the fall caused me to shift how I operate on because I was hurt physically. I didn't go to the doctor or anything, but yet I knew my ribs had to have been bruised. And so I kind of shifted my regular routine of things I would do to the day. So I couldn't go to the gym really. So that kind of shifted things. I was slow rolling, trying to figure out, how I was going to do some things. And so I allowed the fall to cause my focus to shift from what's important. Come here. And so now watch this. Many of you, let's be real, you're not praying like you should because you had some stuff knock the wind out of you. Life happened. Some things got behind. God didn't do what you thought he should have done when you thought he should have done it. So life happened. When life happens, that's a gut punch. It doesn't make you less spiritual. It means that you had to deal with some stuff. So life happens, and now they knock the wind out of you, and it caused you to not do things the way that you used to do them. Come here. And so now here's what's so cold-blooded about Christianity. Here's why you signed up for what we do. Because as being saved, anyone who is saved can have a talk with God anywhere at any time. That fries come with the shake. You know my phrase. And so you have direct access to divinity anytime, any place. Just that's how we set it up. And so prayer is so easy to do, but yet so difficult to maintain. This is why we find ourselves in such a lack of routine and lack of discipline, because it's easy to do based on the general notion, but maintaining it becomes hard because, watch this, we treat prayer like working out. We like the results, but we hate the process. In fact, I don't know if I know anybody who loves working out. In fact, if they love working out, I probably don't want to know them because there's probably something wrong with them. And so we like the results of working out, but we hate having to go through the process. So prayer is understanding how to navigate the process, being disciplined in it, understanding how it works, how it's supposed to function. What I've been giving you over these past couple of weeks, number one is the fact that prayers are supposed to be answered. This is why many of us have difficulty praying, because we don't know if God is responding. I'm trying to pray, but I don't know if God hears me or not. And because I don't know if he hears me because he ain't said nothing back to me. And so prayers are supposed to be answered. And so we've been dealing with this idea of what answers look like, and not only what answers look like, but then also here's what we picked up last week. There are also prayers that God's not going to respond to. This is what makes it difficult. There are certain things that God's simply not going to respond back to you because of what you're praying for. James says, do we ask amiss? In other words, our motives are shot. Our reasoning for asking don't line up with what God's promises and his will is for our life. And it doesn't take a whole lot of digging to figure out that's not God. God don't want that for you. And so now I have to come circle back and speak to this idea of when God is not going to respond. I'm going to save you time. This time invested is saving you time on your knees, because there are certain things that God is not going to respond to. And I told you last week, one of those things is divorce. You got tight in the face when I brought it up. I could feel you tensing up now. So when you pray about divorce, understand divorce is a personal decision. What do you mean, Pastor? Before you send me text messages, emails at me, it's whatever, please understand. Number one, there's life after divorce. I preface this to all my divorcees. If you've gotten a divorce, there's life. You are not a second-class citizen. Chances are you're not going to hell. There is life. You can live a successful life as a single post-divorce, and or if you choose to, you can remarry, and God still bless it, and you have a wonderful life. There's life after divorce. Let's go there first. But then number two, I'm simply telling you why you typically can't ask God for a divorce and expect a response. You can't ask God, say, God, do you want me to divorce my spouse? Because it's hard to pray about something God doesn't want you to do. What God puts together, let no man tear asunder. And so, I biblically gave this to you last week. This is why you got to go back and watch it if you didn't see it. Because I can't ask for something God doesn't want me to do. God says, I want you to be together. And so now we're here now. This is where we have to kind of conclude with this notion. But we're here now. Pastor Mike, I've done it, but we're here now. I've already set myself up, but we're here now. And so here's something big that I think we left off on as well. I want to make sure that I reintroduce, because for those on the edge of divorce and trying to figure out your next steps, because well, Pastor Mike, you said I can't pray about divorce, but you don't understand what's going on in my house right now. And I'm trying to figure out what my next steps are supposed to be. Watch this, because there's divorce, but then there's separation. Because if you come approach myself, Lady Keisha, and tell me that y'all are on teetering, this is all my married couples, y'all teetering on not making it. We don't think this is going to be the end. We don't know what we're going to do. Trust and believe, myself and Lady Keisha, we are the forever optimists. If there's a glimmer of hope, we out here like, hey, let's go get it. We think God can do it. We think you can make it. We think you can go to the next level. And so, however, as opposed to divorce, there's an option of separation, which many churches don't discuss. However, we have to bring this back spiritual, because when we talk about this notion, are there times when a spouse should leave for a season? Yeah, are there times when you should leave for a season because it's just toxic right now? Y'all, some things have been said, some things have been done. And so now I'm trying on the extreme end. I don't want to sleep with one eye open, and I don't want to have to still be fighting day in and day out and wrestling with forgiveness. You have all kinds of things that may be transpiring. And so should a spouse leave for a season. That's a possibility. However, when we look at this, you should allow that separation to go through the church. It was at the church that you came together to be married, for many of you. And so you say, hey, Pastor, we want you to join us together. So if I'm the one to help join you together, shouldn't I have some investment on whether you decide to split back up again? My name's on that. Come here. My batting average is pretty decent as it relates to marriages. we only have a handful of people that divorce, and for whatever reason, my batting average is doing pretty good. And so if I help to bring you together, shouldn't I have be privy to the conversation on y'all splitting apart? If God brought you together, shouldn't God have some involvement on y'all separating? Preach, Mike. And so not only should I be able to grant your marriage, should be able to grant the divorce. I told you we introducing church court. I feel it in my spirit. I think we just go. I'm gonna pull the trigger, and we're gonna set up church court. It's gonna be the first of its kind. It's gonna be all the way live. I'm gonna come on after Judge Judy and before Judge Mathis. I'm gonna give me a time slot. Church court. I said it prophetically. Watch this. So we talked this idea of God not answering prayers around divorce. But here's now where I want to jump into today. And I don't even know if I'm having enough time to dig into it the way I want to. But we have to, not only do I talk about the idea of leaving your spouse, but what if I told you God doesn't answer your prayers related to leaving a church? Ooh, if you wasn't tight in the face yet, you about to get tight right now. And so, number one, leaving a church is a personal decision. And so before you send me text messages, emails, slide into my DMs or at me, I want you to understand everyone, at least that is connected to my church, everyone has left someone's church, including myself. And so I'm just telling you why you typically can't ask God whether you should leave and expect a response. Let's build our thesis, because it's hard to pray about something God doesn't want you to do. But we're here now. Yeah, we're here now. And so when we understand this, watch this, Ephesians 5. Let's get some Bible. Ephesians 5, verse 31 says, for this reason, let's walk this slow. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become what? One flesh. Verse 32 is what many people skip. It says, this mystery is great, but I am speaking with reference to Christ and the church. He is the bridegroom. We are the bride. He says, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and shall be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This mystery is great, but I am speaking with reference to Christ and the church. So now, what if I told you, man, you know what? I love you, but however told you how much I can't stand your spouse? Them fighting words. You walk up to me and tell me today that you can't stand Lady Keisha. I'm before you finish the sentence, I'm already adjusting my posture, because we got to fight now. I have to kill you and preach your funeral. I'd have to do both. And so because she's connected to me, and that's my spouse, that's my girl. And so as soon as you tell me that you don't like her and that you can't stand her, then now it's like, okay, that's you telling me that you can't stand me. Now we got issues. And so it absolutely matters. Catch this, what church you go to, and you should pray before joining one. At the same time, but once you get that confirmation, shouldn't you see it through? Yeah, shouldn't you see it to the end? Because at some point in time, shouldn't you be looking at what you can bring versus what you can get, being an asset and being able to be a contributor and a producer in whatever church you're at? And I'm going somewhere with this because watch this, we leave for a number of different reasons. And we always hear about drama and things popping off, and we can navigate to a number of different areas. And so here's a question. I was doing some teaching with my staff recently, and when we talk about this notion of leaving, if at what point would you denounce me? catch this. So at what point would you say, you know what, Pastor Mike, I think I got to go? And so what is it me having children outside of my marriage, outside of the two that I have with Lady Keisha, if I popped off another one with someone, if I'm knocking them down in the church, knocking them down, I think we could say that on Tuesdays. If I'm sleeping with multiple women within the church, is that a reason? If me having outside children, is that a reason? If I'm strung out on drugs, is that a reason? Is it verbal abuse? What's the litmus test to be able to say, well, no, Pastor Mike, I think the Lord is telling me I need to leave because of your actions and how you're functioning. I don't think this is right. So now, of course, this is to the extreme because I don't plan on doing any of the above. But at what point, though, would you denounce me? Catch this. So at what point should I be able to denounce you? Yeah, is it when you step out of your marriage? Is it when you have extra kids? Is it when you're strung out? So when we talk about the grace, shouldn't grace go both ways? Oh, this is big. And so people leave churches for a variety of reasons. And I know this is tough. We leave for a variety of reasons. And you're like, well, I quit going because there was a trip over there. Well, watch this. You would trip also. This is church, not heaven. If you're expecting perfection from the people that you're surrounding, I dare to say you probably not in a good church. Because watch this. Are you mad at God or are you mad at God's people? There's a difference. Because and there's the phrase that has appeared within this past generation or century of church, and the phrase of church hurt. We've dealt with church hurt before and kind of defined it and expounded on it. But I don't want you to confuse church hurt with you not getting your way. There's an absolute difference. Many of us have experienced it. Like, no, you're not really hurt. You just mad they don't let you do what you want to do. And so in some instances, there is warranted frustration. Many of you left church because it was just, it was what it was. And we could talk about this whole idea of not growing and just things not being in alignment. There's there's a variety of reasons by which we have set up in our mind. But watch this. Even though there's a warranted frustration where you go specifically, that doesn't mean you leave the institution as a whole. This speaks to those who left church and haven't returned back to any church, because this is different. Because I can't leave the entire church based on what happened in one church. I have to think differently if I'm going to be kingdom minded. And so come here, because now and it's a trip, because the church, Big C Church, is the only place we treat that way. Because you put up with your ex for 7 years. You gave the church 3 months. You said, I'm going to give y'all 3 months to figure this out, and I'm out. That joker that was cheating on you and beating on you, you was in there for seven long years and gave them kids and everything. Invested, let them run up your credit, but yet and still, and to this day, you're like, man, I still love him. And so now we talk about the idea of the church, the church. I have to change my mindset. Okay, let's go here, because America has mistreated you. And you ain't left that yet. You swore up and down when certain people got elected president that you was going to move to Canada. You're behind still in Cincinnati. And so I got to change your perspective on this. And so we may have to cease attending a church. But that should not cause us to abandon the church. There's a difference. So even if it's not working out in one particular area, I have to align myself with another local body. The local church is the hope for the world. We are God's representative. And there's a million churches and this is why I'm humbled every week, where hundreds of people show up to hear me speak, to experience our church, because they passed up hundreds of churches to be a part of ours. And so I don't take that for granted. I'm honored by it in what God does. And so I wanted to jump on this idea of leaving because, watch this, because I can't pray about leaving, because God's not really going to answer that, because he don't really want me to leave. However, so because it's a personal decision that you decide on. However, many of us do it wrong. this is where it's about to get interesting, because most people leave the church wrong. And so when we talk about if leaving, I'm gonna give you what most pastors never give you. If you plan on leaving, I'm gonna show you how. Let me give you instructions on how to make this pop off, and so that way you don't misunderstand how it's supposed to work. All right, number one, how you leave is, watch this, quickly. In fact, let me just give you all three. You leave quickly, quietly, and graciously. So when we talk about quickly, everybody type quickly right there. Quickly. Quickly, type quickly. So you leave, number one, quickly. Quickly is the idea that you just don't sort of leave. No. If you say, hey, I'm out, then be out. Don't just meander around to drive up some issues before you leave out, and or to announce to everybody else that you're leaving. No, I'm leaving quickly. But at the same time, watch this, leave with the blessing. Being able to have the conversation and say, hey, you know what? I believe this is where I'm being led to go, or this is where my next steps are going to be. I think my time is up here. So be able to leave with a blessing, with your head high, not kind of sneaking out, but being able to just simply share that with the pastor, and that be the case. And not only quickly, but then quietly. Don't attempt to, provide a long explanation of your decision to multiple people in the church. That goes into sharing with everybody else. Like, girl, I was leaving, right? So you just be able to just slide out the back door, go on about your business, and not try to stir up a whole lot of fire in the house. So be able to do it quickly, do it quietly, but then graciously. I want you to maintain character. We're saved. This is the kingdom. The kingdom should operate from a different level than the rest of the world. Yeah, if you leave your job, I don't care if you turn over desks and knock over computers. That's your preference. But if you're going to leave the church, leave a church rather, I need you to leave graciously. There should be some maintaining some character in it. And watch this. And then on your way out, don't criticize the people that stay. Yeah, now because you left for whatever reason you left. But that don't mean everybody else has that same issue. So now as soon as you start trying to announce what your issue is to multiple people, now they're in their mind thinking, well, you know what? Maybe that is the case. Maybe that is happening. And so they weren't thinking of that at all, and they were happy and they were enjoying life, but now you're causing strife. Now you're causing confusion, and God said, I'm not the author of that. So I can't put God's hand on it in something that I'm stirring up. So leave graciously, maintain character in doing that. And then here's a great question: how you leave, and the pastor's the last person to know. As soon as it conjured up in your mind that I'm out, that should be your first phone call. So hey, I just wanted to let you know that we're me and my family, or I'm about to leave out, whatever that may be, because chances are, as people, you've had conversation with everybody else but the pastor. Oh, this is tough. And so you should be, well, Pastor Mike, they knew I was gone when I stopped showing up. So if you didn't have investment in the church, you weren't serving, you barely went to begin with, chances are they don't really know that you're gone. However, if you've spent some time there, you've invested there, given there, worked there, served there, have that conversation so you can be gracious, leave with the blessing, leave right. Because how do you expect to leave right and then go somewhere else and go in with honor and with favor over your life, and you just caused a whole mess over there? And so we tend to do this, and here's a trip, because there's always a side of the story that never gets heard. Preach, Mike. I've never heard of anyone leaving a church and telling me how bad they were. Yeah, it's always them folk over there. It's always, this is what they did to me, or here's how they made me feel. I've never heard anybody say, well, Pastor Mike, I left church because I was just tearing things up over there. I'm a mess in my life, and I had a whole lot of stuff going on, and I was a big distraction, and I was causing all kinds of confusion. I was raising all kinds of hell, so I had to leave. I had to bow out because I didn't want to mess up them good people anymore. Never had that conversation before. So now there are times when you should leave. I promise you, I'm honest when I tell you this. There are times when you should leave. Even Light of the World was birthed off of us leaving a church. We left because I believe God had called me to birth a church. And so there are times when you should leave, but there are also times, catch this, when you should be asked to go. Oh, it's about to get tight. Because on one end, we understand this notion of, well, I had to leave because of this. Nobody ever talks about the church having to put people out, which is biblical. Oh, this is why I don't have enough time. So now catch this, because this is an argument that Paul is presenting in 1 Corinthians 5. Where are my Bible readers at? So when we talk about this idea of what we call excommunication, Paul is writing to the church to address the issue of one of the men in the church sleeping with his stepmother. He's like, hey, y'all got some nasty stuff going on right now. And if you ever, when you read the letters to the church of Corinth, here's what's crazy. They were gifted and nasty. Oh, this sounds like many of our churches right now. They were abundance. There was an abundance of gifting happening, but they were trifling. And so Paul's writing letters to the church to be like, man, y'all need to get y'all life right. And so here's 1 Corinthians chapter 5 is where Paul's digging into this. Paul is writing to the church to address this issue. One of the men sleeping with his stepmother. And so when you look at this, sin in the church is nothing new. We've all seen a number of crazy things. So where there are humans, there's bound to be sin. We all fall short. In fact, here's something I touched on a little bit earlier. If there's no sinners in the church, then the church isn't doing its job. Every week I need to be smelling like sex, drugs, and hip hop. That's what we're called to do. If everybody's perfect, we're not doing what we should be doing. Watch this. 1 Corinthians 5:9 says, when I wrote to you before, I told you not to associate with people who indulge in sexual sin. But I wasn't talking about unbelievers who indulge in sexual sin, or are greedy, or cheat, or worship idols. You would have to leave this world to avoid people like that. So he's saying, hey, I wanted you to watch this. He said, I wanted you to avoid believers acting a fool. He says the unbelievers, they should be showing up that way. They should come in broken. They should come in with issues. They should come in smelling like weed. It's who we are as a church. I promise you. You come to Light of the World this Sunday, I promise you, without a shadow of a doubt, there's going to be an aroma of weed at some point in time. It is what it is. But where else are they supposed to go? Okay, we going in a whole nother route. Because if they don't show up there, they're just supposed to just be unsaved for the rest of their life? Or am I supposed to be the church and embrace them, hug them the same way I hug everybody? And so I have to be able to do my due diligence as the church. And with that, the Bible says, hey, you would have to leave the world to avoid people like that. And so Paul's argument deals with believers acting this way. Believers should operate at a different level and have a different standard. I've been wrestling with this idea of integrity and character with the body of believers. At some juncture, we have to be the thermostat and not the thermometer. I have to set the temperature and not adjust to the temperature. And so so watch this. What's taking place in 1 Corinthians 5, I'm not even going to have time to dig into it. What's taking place in 1 Corinthians 5, Paul's addressing what's the issue with this triflingness that's taking place in the church. And not to mention, the church knew about it and was allowing it to continue. Y'all were aware and didn't say nothing. And here's my issue, and here's where we're going to close today. Because the church is so what I call gift enamored that we prostitute people for their gifts. In other words, I'm going to use you for your gift until the issue I know you have embarrasses me, then I'll leave. And so I'll continue to show up. I'll continue to allow you to sing. I'll continue to allow you to preach. I'll continue to allow you to do what you do as a leader until you get exposed publicly, and then I'll denounce you and walk away. Even though I knew already, issues that we see pop up is interesting. We see the story with my guy with the Boston Celtics, and everybody's in an uproar on the fact that he could cheat on Nia Long. And so and they tripping about everything. So a couple of things on that. Number one, show me the finest woman in the world. I'll show you an unsaved brother that's tired of sleeping with her. That's free of charge. Number two, it's amazing now that part of his life become public, they try to dig up everything else in his life. Things that they were already aware of, but didn't mention and didn't have a problem with until certain things went public. And so I can't. It's Abbott Elementary. You trying to find stuff on TV. We got things to do. You got dinner on the stove, and I know you at the edge of your seat. Like, Pastor, I need some more of this. Hey, I promise you, we gonna deal with this idea of excommunication, because once again, we always deal with leaving the church. But when should the church leave you? when should we? And watch this. This is not for unbelievers. This is for those of you who've been fire baptized, saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Spirit, jump, shout, run around, foam at the mouth. These are the issues Paul's speaking to you. He says, hey, you talk all this big stuff about leaving somebody. Maybe there's some times where you need to be put out. Oh, we're going to pick up on this next Tuesday. If this has been blessing you, I need to see hand claps. I need to see the hand emojis in the comment sections. Let me know that you learning something, that I'm not just doing this in vain. And that I'm sparking your interest, sparking your mind, because we kind of going somewhere now. I started off one way, and the Holy Spirit's taking me a whole nother route. And so we're going to look at this idea and this notion of excommunication, and how that and why it is a biblical thing that is very rarely pursued from the church, even though we have the right to do so. Hey, beloved, I need you coming this Sunday. I need you to be in the house. Thank you for showing up last night, but you need to come back. We're in our series. I kicked off a series Sunday that we call Good Vibes, and we're dealing with relationships and how you manage the relationships in your life. We looked at this idea of the people that are in my life and how I separate them from, whether I gave you two categories. I said people are either for camaraderie or for my calling. I need to know which one of the categories that you fall into. It's fine if we just gonna be kicking buddies. If we just kicking it and having fun, you bring me joy, we smile, we laugh, etc. But if you for my calling, I ain't got time to kick it. This is the role that you play in my life. This is what we do. You speaking to me. You help me to get this vision together. You help me to build my status and where I'm supposed to be going. So we want to make sure we're identifying that this Sunday we're dealing with friends. We kind of set the foundation this past Sunday. So this Sunday coming in, I'm preaching the message, what about my friends? Shout out to the prophetic voices of TLC. And so we're talking about what about your friends? We're dealing with this idea on Sunday of how friendship works and how who I'm connected to affects my life in that manner as well. And so I need to make sure that you're in the building. And not only that, this Sunday is also College Sunday. So I need to see you with your alma mater gear on, to my sorors, my frat. I need to see y'all with all y'all stuff on this Sunday. It's going to be all the way live. I believe we got food for all of our college kids. We got resources for my high school seniors, juniors, those that are interested now in figuring out what schools they're going to go to. We got resources for them there. We turn it up again. It is what it is. I'm just going to have a party every Sunday. I feel that in my spirit. So I need to see you in the building. Right now, whereas we're working through our kinks, we don't have our live stream up. So that means that you need to be in person. Even more reason for you to show up. So I need to see you this Sunday, 10:30 a.m., College Sunday. It's about to go all the way in. Hey, if you haven't shared this with somebody, you say, hey, girl, you going through it. You need to hear what my pastor said today. Hey, I can't wait to see you in person. I love you. Hug me when you